let's take a little look-see. Let's take a little look-see over here, see what we got. And it appears we are live. But I think we're a little quiet. I'm going to boost up the audio a little bit, I think. Let's do that. Andrew, you want to try saying something?
Sure. I'm trying to say something right now.
All right, I think we're at similar levels now. Oh, the stream is now caught up. All right, I think that sounds a bit better. I think I'm a little louder than you. I'll turn it down a tiny bit.
All right.
Yeah, okay, that sounds pretty good. I just want to double check.
All right.
That sounds fine to me. Let's close that so I don't hear myself talking to myself the entire time. And let's put this full screen to make my life a little easier. And we are watching Arcane today. I think we're just going to jump into it today. I'm not sure we have any. Do we have any big announcements today, Andrew?
I don't think so. I'm just excited to watch at least 2 minutes of Arcane today.
Listen, take it day by day. Eventually, we will reach the promised land. Just don't be breaking those
Progress
stats.
will be made. I can confirm that we will watch. We'll have more of Arcane watched this episode than we did last episode.
So we just sit here talking for 2 hours and completely forget to watch the show.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, I don't think I got any big announcements either. Cards, I'm just waiting for I don't think they've even been printed yet. They might have been. I think they ship in like October, or they're supposed to get here in October. I can't even remember, but we're waiting on them. And so I'll probably do a post with some of the physical cards so you can see what they kind of look like.
Okay.
Aside from that, I haven't been up to. Have you been up to anything, Andrew? Tell me. The fans want to know the glamorous life. Are you switching? Are you switching to Godot then?
You know, I don't trust Unity. They did pull out like a new. They had a different guy, not what's his name, the CEO, whatever his name is, I forget. John Riccitello.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. I'm familiar. His name is my name too.
Congratulations on destroying Unity, Max. I mean,
well, I was just sick of him. I don't know what to tell you.
So they had another guy in Unity bust out like a blog post where he explained what their actual business strategy is going to be from now on. And he just explained like it's going to be like it only affects you if you have like $1 million in sales, and they bumped up their personal plan from if you make $100,000 to $200,000. You can now remove the Unity logo from your game if you make under $200,000 instead of on the plus plan or whatever. And then instead of paying per install, the $1 million people will pay like a 2.5% or something like that, which is lower than Unreal's percent. So yeah, but then you still have the license fee that you have to pay however often. So it's better. They definitely improved it. Like, that being said, they claim that they're gonna be able to track installs. Like, what the hell kind of malware are they putting in your game without you knowing it? um,
Yeah, and is it?
and be as good.
And it sounds like it's still worse than before they came out with any plan.
Yes, but it no longer affects people over $200,000. Now it only affects people over $1 million, I believe.
Right, but it just sounds like we. Hello, sir. Would you like this huge pile of dog shit? No. Oh, but we are so magnanimous. We will ask you to eat only one spoonful of dog shit. How kind and noble are we?
Yeah, it's remarkably generous. I only have to eat one spoonful now. But
One spoonful, simply because
yeah,
we want you to. It
yeah,
makes us happy.
it's definitely bad. I'm
So
not sure like how many millions the bigger Unity developers are actually making off their games and their studios and stuff. Um, and this, I mean, the fact that they busted out like the really bad thing first, like I don't know what they're gonna be willing to do in the future. I don't trust them. But I don't really have much of a choice because
listen, they're rolling it
I don't
back,
think I can get.
right? They're showing weakness. There's fear in their eyes. Now you gotta press them. This is like fucking what was it with Bud Light? They pissed off their entire fan base, and suddenly all of these videos are coming out where all the beer stalls are empty except for Bud Light. And like Jesus Christ, we'll do anything. Please come back. You gotta put the squeeze on them. You gotta say this is a real nice video game got here. It'd be a shame if no one were to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how things go from here. I
Even
don't
if
know.
even
I'll
if
still
they're
try some good stuff, but
and even if Unity like doesn't even if Unity just fucking goes under as a result, it sends a clear message to every other game software maker not to pull shit like this.
yeah,
But yeah,
for sure.
I haven't been up to much. I've started reading up on alchemy, Andrew. Believe it or not,
Oh,
it's for
I'm
the
planning
vault.
on
Oh,
for what?
Cuvia dear Cuvia. But I
Explain.
realized I've been because it's the fun part about it. I guess I'll talk a little bit about it. I have a world building project, and it's in a internal storage Wikipedia site. And I just keep adding shit to it over time. And so one is to engage
Oh,
with.
that's the vault.
Sorry, what?
That the vault?
Yes.
That's what you call
Yeah.
it?
So
Okay.
I use a software called Obsidian, and in Obsidian you can have a vault, which is like a bunch of all your information. It's kind of like
I see.
Campfire or if you've ever used that, or World Anvil, but it's a lot like it works a lot like a Wikipedia page. And also it's a lot darker, which is nice because it's Wikipedia in night mode, which is wunderbar. and
Excellent.
and so it's just to keep engaged with like writing, right? Because these you have like a couple minutes. You can't really write like even flash fiction is probably too long to do in like 5 minutes. But I can come up with a fantasy creature and give some basic details about it in five, or tell an overview of.
It's hard to like flesh out a lot of stuff in a short amount of time.
Right, but that's sort of the thing about Wikipedia, right? These aren't as like a Wikipedia article. It's like a very broad overview. So like instead of writing this epic story of this war between two dwarven clans, I can like this war happened this year. Here are the spark note details about it, and then I have like enough that I can reference it in works later. So I was working on I've started working on some of the science of the world, and so I have a star chart now with constellations and everything. But I had to figure out how science works, and I didn't want to do actual science because actual science is like it's not mystical, which I think this is why when you watch fantasy, it's always like alchemists instead of scientists. Because one, science didn't really exist in the medieval period, so it's a bit of a mismatch for the time period. But alchemy is within it a very mystical sort of art form. There's sorts of magics involved with it, and there's a lot of secret knowledge, which I think is really what we're talking about when we understand magic. But yeah, it's super interesting. I'm reading like a primer on it, so I can figure out how science kind of works. But yeah, it's because they have like an entire worldview that exists within it as part of their understanding of the world, which is oddly, or I guess not oddly, for the time period. Like science is very materialistic. Everything is derived from the material, whereas it's sort of the reverse in alchemy, where material. It's not quite the reverse. But material is like one component of reality, and so they try to analyze on sort of the alternative as well, like on a spiritual level. It's weird. They have there's sort of an understanding of both the spiritual and the soul, and they've made those distinct. So it's kind of, which is kind of like 40K. But yeah, it's super interesting. But
wait, so hold on. In your setting, there's that distinction, or like you found that in something else, like in a real thing?
So I'm reading a primer, an introduction to
Oh,
alchemy.
okay, gotcha.
And in it, this is what they've sort of broken apart as sort of I guess it'd be secondary elements. So the sort of the elemental table in sort of alchem, and you're going to get different alchemical traditions generally, but this seems to be consistent. There is sort of this idea of this this dichotomy of, it's kind of they would use like celestial salt and celestial niter is sort of the term they would use.
Interesting.
Which sort of has this, which is kind of like the best way to explain it, I guess, I think would be the celestial salt is more like the things, the material, and the niter is ideas, and the sort of and sort of conscious, not quite consciousness. Consciousness is some level down, but like sort of this more abstract, this volatile, this ideas might be the best word I can think of to use for it. And then there's like the volatile elements, which is fire and air, and then the non-volatile, which is water and earth. And then those descend into the I guess they would be the tertiary elements, which is salt, mercury, and sulfur. And salt is like the representation of the body, the material, the purely physical. And then mercury is the salt is the most stable, and this is why it's everywhere, because it's water and earth combined together to make salt, which is the most stable of the three compounds. And then in the middle is mercury, which is earth and air, maybe? I can't remember. But it's this transitionary, because mercury is like a super interesting, it's metal, but it's liquid, and so it's weird. But it's slightly more volatile, and it represents I think I can't remember. It's mercury and sulfur represent the spirit. But yeah, it's interesting. And then I got to the section where they're talking about the stars and starting the zodiacs, and I'm like, God damn, I don't have to deal with this with the women in my life. I don't want to fucking read about these goddamn planetary horoscopes. But yeah,
My goodness.
but it's
Yeah,
nice.
why is that such a popular thing with like women? Like,
I
do they actually like? Do people actually think like what do people actually think about that stuff nowadays? Is it just oh it's interesting, or is it like I need to know my future now? Sorry, as
um,
tangent. But
it's sort of a bit difficult because the irony cults have made things a bit blurred. But what I think is really happening is the sort of astrology gives people a framework to understand what's happening around them.
what can you say?
Right. So like if I have an understand like if I was into astrology, so to be fair, I think there's different levels. Right? There are people who like would say certain zodiac signs impart certain personalities into people. And they can justify it however they want. But they're like, okay, you were born this month, so you have these sorts of personality traits, and that gives you a framework to understand who someone is without really without having to do much engagement, which is not really a great thing. Like we wouldn't do like, oh well, this person is black, and so I can assume. Right? We wouldn't. This is probably not the optimal way to do that, but it's a way to quickly gain some sort of information. And a lot of the zodiac stuff is broad enough that it's not going to be untrue, and it's going to sort of confirm your preconceived biases.
Hmm.
And then is sort of the next level where they're looking at is sort of horoscopes. Um, and there might be some sort of like ritualistic self analytical kind of thing to it, right? Like if you have a horoscope, like I'm trying to think of a good comparison. The issue is sort of the reliance on the mystical. But like imagine you have a horoscope that's like um, treats make time for your family. Some of them, one of them may find themselves in need of you, or something like that. Like something a bit banal. But it has like, well, okay, I've read this horoscope. I'm going to go spend some time with my family, right? This is going on its own to offer some like some benefits to your life. And there's all people are always like in need of something. So like they're general enough that they'll come true and reconfirm, but also are written in a way that by following these there could be some tangible benefit to your life.
Hmm.
So I mean,
You see that, but I don't know how these typically play out.
you would have to. I guess you would have to analyze like a particular person,
I mean, it's just like it's interesting, but yeah.
right? But we're not here to talk about horoscopes and whatnot. None of them horoscopies. We're here for Arcane, Andrew. And I'll be damned if we don't get through some of these fucking episodes. So, do you remember where we left off?
Yes, we've seen old Medarda show up. I forget her name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mel's mom. We had Finn.
Yeah.
What actually did we do? We did Caitlyn arrived. Or not, yeah, Caitlyn and V arrived. We had Silco and Singed. Starting off the procedure, we had Finn and what's her name again?
Whose name? Oh, oh yeah, I forget.
Savika.
The Savika, thank you.
And then we had Mel arrive, and then stuff stopped working, and we decided to call it quits. So we are here, 11 minutes into the episode. All right, we're almost
Perfect.
a third of the way through. We're going to have episode 8, part 9 at this rate, but let's Let's get going. Let's see.
Yeah, it'll be a win if we can get halfway through.
Yeah. Let me.
Okay. Brings out the army. I'm guessing all the red folks are her army.
Yeah.
Mel isn't even pretending to hide her disappointment for like politics. You're just like, yeah, I'm telling it like it is.
Says it's not business. This is personal.
Yeah.
Right. And the
Meanwhile, the
mom's
mother
response is sort of
definitely being political.
to sort of downplay everything.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm just here to visit. You're not just here to visit. There's so much drama. You kicked me out. But it sort of goes in line a bit with her personality to some degree. I mean, from her mom's perspective, the sort of there's a difference in like the severity of the things that they care about. Right? Like from the mom's perspective, Mel is sort of just like on this hippy dippy bend of like, what if we all just love each other and sing Kumbaya and play Imagine by the Beatles. Whereas from the mom's perspective, that's what Mel's doing. That's her big arc, and she is fighting for the survival of the entire family. And so, obviously,
Yeah.
from her perspective, like these are not equal things from her perspective, especially since she has the information that Mel does not about their dear foxish brother, who is dead. Stay, you are dead. But
Mel doesn't know that he's dead.
not yet. The mom's going to reveal it.
Okay.
But I mean, I love the scenes with Mel's moms for their framing. They have really good like framing of these characters, right? They come in, and then not only is the mom physically above Mel, right, of that dominance, she's also in the middle where Mel and her assistant are to the side. And then I kind of like they have all the sort of average sort of size people. It's all working, and then she has like the one big bodyguard also overshadowing Mel. And so we have this sort of representation
sorry.
of the violence that Mel doesn't like. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, just a second. I'm gonna have to step out for a minute.
Okay, I'll start the timer.
Maybe longer than a few minutes.
Well, I mean, you only got 40 some odd seconds now.
No, yeah, but yeah, just okay, all right. I'll be right back.
I'll entertain the crowd. But yeah, you have, and then here you have this big strong Zangief looking motherfucker with this giant axe, sort of reinforcing this. You sort of like this representation of this elephant in the room, of their strong disagreements on how one should conduct themselves and how one should sort of dominant personality. And it's her ideas that, at least from Mel's perspective, seem so dominant and that she's trying to overcome. And look where the camera positioning is. Right? The camera, when we look at Mel's mom, if we go back, the camera positioning is pointed up at... Also, I just kind of noticed this. I don't know if this is sort of the intended design. This kind of eye, teeth, kind of looks like a face. But when she comes out, right, we see her full head, we're looking up at her. Whereas Mel, we're looking down at her. Looking up. And when we cut back, right, she's at the top, right? we're always looking up at Mom, down at V. Or down at Mel. Right? And look at the eyes, the eye placement as well. Right? The mom is sort of just doing her thing. And her movements are dragging Mel's gaze along, forcing Mel to concede the center of attention of power within the relationship dynamic. And then there's sort of hints of stuff I like that we're going to find out later about their sort of relationship. So throughout, we have sort of the focusing of the center of attention on the mom. But one of the noticeable things, especially later within the last section of this section before they start walking, is Mel faces her fully chest out. But the mom doesn't. She's sort of hiding a little bit as she talks. Right? She's looking behind her. Right? Where she is fully facing. Right? And then I like this face. I think this is a very good face because this is she's doing you have your father's memory. She's trying to sort of build a bit of a bridge here. But she's not super confident. She's a bit nervous because it seems like she's not. I think this is a bit of a nervous face, a little bit. And I think we all know what Mel's face is here. Right? We have that initial, that smile, like, oh, we're family. Remember your dad. You have your father's memory. And then as it's not working, we have this pull back. The smile is fading. Despite the mom's attempt to sort of demonstrate this high status, high horsed sort of superiority, she very much cares about this relationship, even though she's sort of putting up some blockades a little bit. And she's trying to hide some of that emotion. Right? And there's some hints that she does genuinely care, which sets up for the big scene later. Right? We have this slight look over. Mel is not looking at her because she's doing an Anki. She's just mad at her mom, and the mom knows she has to break some very bad news to her, and does care about, and has this slight look like, okay, here we go. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about Mom. We have sort of there's a few things about this scene I think are worth talking about. We have this inability of the mom to sort of face Mel about this, and part of it's probably because she blames herself for what happened, for not having been there, for having been distracted. Right? She's taken on this sort of responsibility, and that's sort of how she justifies her usage of such extreme forms might be not the right word, but the consistency and the willingness to engage in violence. And then the literally you had one job, protect the family, and you messed it up. Though, I mean, I'm sure if we looked at the details, it's obviously a more complicated situation. From her perspective, this was her responsibility, and she's failed. And now she has lost one child, and this child is, while not dead, in a sense gone from her. Right? She lives in the city. She doesn't like her mom. She doesn't seem to talk to her mom that often. She's as someone who knows death. Right? She doesn't use the term like he's dead or he's been killed. She uses gone. And I think that's part of that sort of peeks into what she is worried about, which is Mel being gone too. At least metaphorically. And as well, she was distracted. That's a mistake she can't take back. Right? So this could also lead into part of the reason why she's here. Right? Mel's mom, she comes in and talks with Jace and talks with Mel and talks about Hextech weaponry. But at least at this so far in the series, she doesn't attempt to like buy up stock of Hextech weapons to ship back to the place. She does. Actually, that's not, she tries to get Mel to bring some the Hextech stuff back with her for the sake of the fight. I think. Well, we'll look at those scenes later, because that's a bit later. But I don't think her motivation here is purely just I want the weapons. What I think this line portrays is that she let this brother go off and sort of do his own thing, and he fucked it all up and died. And now she's worried if she's doing her own thing in Noxus is the place. She's going to be busy doing shit in Noxus, and she's going to get another message saying that Mel has now died because of what's going on with Zon and Piltover. And I think this is also, I think, what drives the, like, why is she here now, trying to get Mel to come back to her in Noxus, when before she sent her to Piltover because she was so worried about her, which is what she says later. And I think the answer to that is simply she now feels that it is less safe for Mel and her family to be anywhere other than right beside her, because it's the only place she can keep track of them without getting distracted. And I think that's sort of the prime motivation here.
I disagree.
Okay, what do you think?
I don't know. I actually just got here. I want to say I disagree.
Yeah. I mean, I'll summarize real quick. I think it bears out the sort of body language indicates that she's trying to build a bridge with Mel, and she's failing. And I think part of the reason why she's doing this whole charade, this whole thing now, as opposed to any point before, is because with the death of her brother, her concern is now not like I'll send these people to away where places they'll be safe. Where now it seems like if they're away and I'm distracted doing stuff at home, they might just die, and so it's safer to have them near me at all times. And that's why I think she's trying to bring Mel back.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right. Let's.
Yeah, I didn't.
Oh, go ahead.
Actually, yeah. Keep going. Keep going.
All right.
Okay, so the idea here is Mel assuming that her mother wants the hex tech for like to use as weaponry. Is
So
that what she's kind of thinking? Because I think what Mel's mother is saying is like you've sort of created a target on your back by having a potential weaponry technology, and it's like the idea of like I guess there's like an idea of like a Cold War or whatever, right? Like if you have technology, there needs to be some sort of conflict around that technology, either someone else will now try to make an equivalent technology, escalating the amount of collective danger in the world, or they will try to, or like, or it'll just be, well, you'll just be more powerful, and people will be afraid of that or whatever. Like it causes conflict. Like, is that her point?
I think so. Uh, I think Mel is because she says Jace is trying to hex tech weaponry. Mel's thinking is she wants the weapons for Noxus. I think that's what Mel's thinking. That she wants she wants the weapons. Give me the guns. Where I think some degree I think we're agreeing that the mom, right, having just been distracted, and as a result the son has upset the wrong person, has now died. She's sort of re-seeing that Mel is engaged, has built weapons, right? The problems of the Undercity have festered too long. She's now now she is upset people in positions of power within Zon, and so she's shown up, right? I'm not distracted now, and I'm here to help see you through this crisis. And so I think
Okay.
I think we're agreeing on the motivations here.
Yeah, gotcha. Makes sense. Cool.
My God, it's Howl from Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh yeah, he does look like him.
He does. He's got the coat over the shoulders. He's a bit of a pretty boy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is sort of I've noticed this a couple times. I think the mom does stuff like this a couple of times. She does this, and then she does the thing with Jace in the bath. And I think these are just purely like pure power plays. It's mainly what I think is happening in those scenes.
Yeah, but then if she's trying to show goodwill to, well, I mean, like it's not like
She doesn't look super pleased though.
yeah, but so then why would if that was the intention, then why would she like how is that connected to her trying to be like Mel, see reason and come home?
Well, I don't. I think maybe it's that she has not. That the mom doesn't engage in those sorts of types of negotiations, right? Like from
Hmm.
whenever the mom's sort of engaged, it's from who was it? Gorgias from the Plato. Might makes right. I think probably she's been arguing from a perspective for most of her life of of sort of practical power, right? She
Okay.
doesn't seem to be. I'm not sure she's very interested in like reasoning out, or at least historically has not been interested in sort of reasoning out and finding these sorts of compromises or any of these
Oh,
sorts of
sorry. I
things
think
between her and sort of the other characters, right? If someone's a problem, just going to kill them. They're not going to be a problem because we're just going to kill them.
So is it more like a thing of um just like I don't know, matter of fact, like I'm gonna I'm gonna get my outcome here. Like you don't have to worry about arguing. Like it's gonna happen my way.
I think this is sort of just how she's. I think this is a form of habit, and she like
Hmm.
right and looking from these as part like he calls Medarda and they both say yes, but they're not. He's not here for Mel, right? So she's sort of trying to imprint herself into the sort of imprint herself in and demonstrate a level of power. Like the people in your city are coming for me, not for you. You know. I think
Yeah.
this is purely just this is how she's done everything up till now.
I do wonder though, like, um, under what kind of, I guess, I'm not sure how to phrase it exactly, but Mel's mother is very much like a warlord, right? Like she's got the character design emphasizes that as well, and you know obviously we've seen the things she says and does. Whereas Mel is certainly you know vying for power in her own way, but she's much more like elegant and political in the sense of like wordplay and strategy and things like that. And I'm curious of if like would she have like because like there's not much said about like if there's like is there a mystery?
So we don't
Are they
know about
getting
Mel's
that
dad,
perspective from someone else? Yeah.
right? I would guess that he's probably dead. And the
Hmm.
reason I would guess that is for two reasons. One, she talks to Mel that she's a lot like her father, and this is her attempt to bring them sort of closer together.
Okay.
And I think that would make more sense if if she's like falling back on this sort of this person who is now gone that they both loved, right? Where it would have might have made
Hmm.
more sense for because she says that because like that's going to be a compliment to Mel, right? Because she's trying to ingratiate herself with Mel. So that means that Mel does like her dad, and they do get along, and there's that
Hmm.
she loves him, right? We can sort of assume that. And if that's the case, it would make a lot more strategic sense for the dad to be here, like with Caitlyn. Like I imagine their sort of relationship mirrors the relationship of Caitlyn's parents,
Interesting.
and so it'd make more sense for him to be there and be like, "Oh, Mel, your mom loves you just like I do." Right? Right? That would be the strategically smart thing to do. Um,
Hmm.
and the fact that he's not there, I think, leads to the conclusion that, like her brother, he is dead. And then she's
Interesting.
clearly going to have sex with that young man,
Yeah.
which I don't think would make a ton of sense if he was that the dad wouldn't. I think we can reasonably conclude that the dad is dead.
Yeah, and that's interesting that the dad is more of the influence of diplomacy for lack of a better word. Especially I missed that she said that Mel is just like her father. So
Yeah,
presumably that's where the difference comes from, I guess.
but this may also be why a good chunk of why she is the way she is, because if her dad and her brother are like Mel and they were both killed, no wonder she's not a fan of the system. It's like I keep.
Yeah.
This is literally the communism of Noxus. You keep trying it, and you keep killing everyone. Everyone keeps dying.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see what happens next.
Yeah.
Oh, oopsie doopsie. Yeah, she doesn't look super happy there.
Interesting framing.
I got boxes full of Pepe Sylvia.
Perspective, like from her eyes, wealth compared to like her typical her upbringing, right? Like this, right? Like it's like this huge wide shot of this like wealthy room.
The doors are twice as
I
big.
don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what the takeaway is, but there's something intentional about this, I think.
It's also, once again, this is a Dutch angle.
True.
This is slanted, which sort of reinforces that uneasy nature of the scene, right? I think part of that is
Okay, yeah.
part of that is V's going to, or Vi, right? Because right, oil and water. This whole episode is Vi coming to the conclusion that she's just incompatible with Piltover, and so we have one, this sort of incompatibility of this room, but also we're now going to have this sort of she's going to have this sort of emotional moment where she talks about her failures as a sister, right? So we're already, and as well, right, we got a bit of light here, but it's a very dark shot too, I'm noticing. So it's setting the stage and setting up. As well, this is also right before they go to the council, so there's an element of tension in the scene as well. Yeah. Also, I like you don't notice the map here because the shot is very clearly centered on V, and so this becomes sort of peripheral colors. But it's there right before they shut up the reveal. They do this sort of thing a lot where they'll show it, but not quite, and you won't notice it till you go back around, so, which is kind of nice. But also, it's just hilarious. The flowers are still here from episode 4.
Yeah, are they wilted? I can't tell with the overlay.
I can't tell. But, well, I think the bouquet ones are gone, but the potted ones are still there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
There's the map. I mean, it's an emotional heart-to-heart moment. It's communicating all the things it's supposed to. We once again, it's reinforced through dialogue, but we're once again reinforcing the sort of differences. You get this one bed, and the two of us get a bed half the size.
Yeah, but that's not even like I don't think that's her intention to. It's just like, oh well, yeah, it was half like.
No, but it analysis is. Right, because everything that's going to pile up over the course of the rest of the episode is just going to keep reinforcing to V that Piltover and Zahn can't work, and she and Caitlin can't work. And so this is just one more straw on the camel's back before it breaks. Remember, you can eat venom. It's perfectly safe. It's poison that you can't eat.
Oh, right.
And one thing I'll note, which I like about this scene, we actually see this shot again later in the shows. You know when, Andrew? When we see this shot a second time?
That.
When Jinx pulls the lid off of the the serving dish. There's a brief flash, and it's this shot
Oh.
of Caitlyn.
Huh.
And I think it's because this is the point in sort of her interaction with Jinx. Though once again, I argue she's not Jinx at that point. That Vi feels the most scared and vulnerable. And this scene is the most sort of anyone, the bunny thing with Powder in like episode 2.
Sorry, you cut out for me. For I think you said.
But this is the
like,
most.
This is
the most she's ever been with vulnerable with Caitlyn.
Oh, okay.
Right? And it's in sort of the context where she's talking about being scared and whatnot. And so it makes sense that this image, when Vi is feeling this way, this vulnerable, this scared, this sad, all these sorts of negative emotions.
That's when what comes up in her mind then.
Right. This is the image of Caitlyn that appears when she legitimately thinks Jinx may have cut her head off and put her on a platter.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right, and there's also sort of another meaning here we can take, where she's talking about chasing her own monsters away, which she sort of sees Jinx as the monster she created. That this would once again represent a failure to chase away the monsters for someone she cared about, that she created. So I think there's some strong connections between this scene and that scene, and that's why they chose to use this specific image.
The best state thereby. Oh man, that's brutal. Oh no, and she's remembering her own stuff here too. Interesting.
Yeah. Hallucinations are
That's
there's I mean I think the symbolism's pretty on. Like I don't think it's super complicated. She sees Vi is getting rid of her, in effect killing her and replacing her with Caitlyn, who now has Vi's bunny, because Caitlyn's the one that Vi loves, not Jinx, who she left behind twice now.
But it's interesting that it opens with "You're stronger than you think," right? Like, kind of like she's in a position where she needs that, that she needs someone to tell her she's gonna be okay and stuff, because she's literally like basically almost died, probably dying now too, probably won't survive the surgery, maybe she will, but it's gonna be painful, it's gonna be bad. Like, it would make sense that like you'd want your sister there then, but then it immediately cuts to like, oh, Vi pulls out a gun. And also, it's interesting that I don't think we ever see Vi actually use a gun in the show, do we? She always punches people.
Yeah, she does not use.
Yeah.
Which may be like an artistic, like, so by having this visual clue, this is Jinx's thoughts about Vi and Caitlyn. And they're colored by that perception, which is why the gun is used, as opposed to Vi like hitting V, or Vi hitting Jinx like she did in episode 3.
Yeah, which that's interesting too, because that actually did happen. So it's quite an interesting detail, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is brutal. That's so weird.
The look at the eyes on Caitlyn, and like yeah, that shot. I don't know. I want to see if I can pause it on. But it's, and then you have Vi just there smiling,
Yeah.
And here we go. No, I keep missing it.
I hate it. What exactly are you
Oh, the
trying to?
eyes. She has like these fucked up sideways looking eyes.
Oh,
Watch when she comes in.
oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. There we go.
My goodness. Yeah, it sucks.
And then we cut to Silco,
Oh, he's waking up.
but also Pain. If she wasn't around, Vi would love her again, and that's what sets up for the choice in episode 9, right? Um,
Yeah, and it. I think. Yeah, like I don't know. I was thinking like, well, like it doesn't make any like she's she hates Caitlyn. Like why? But it's it's the madness. It's not necessarily gonna be irrational. It's gonna be it's gonna be bad.
mhm.
The knife. Like, what did he use a knife for if he's just juicing that purple stuff?
I mean, I don't know.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm kind of confused as to what this like surgery even was, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the surgery really was either. I don't think we're supposed to or really need to know. This is sort of it was probably I think probably the correct decision. We just know that it was some surgery, it was bad, and it's permanently altered her. And so it sort of just leaves it up to the sort of viewer on to sort out the sorts of details themselves. But not having the details might be a little scarier because all we really know is it's bad and we don't know much else.
Hmm.
But it seems like he did some sort of procedure where he used shimmer to save her life, and it gives her and it seems like
Hmm.
it functions from what we see later. It functioned like some sort of a super soldier serum a little bit, where it enhances some of her stuff like speed and strength. Like when she fights Caitlyn, uh, her eyes change color. Her eyes are blue. This is the last scene her eyes are blue in. Her eyes are become that sort of pink purplish color. So
Yeah,
it seems like it makes the madness a little bit worse.
for sure.
So, like we know the effects, we've seen a couple of snippets of it, and we know it's bad, but we don't really know anything beyond that. That's for sort of the viewer to sort out themselves. And so Silco's a little upset. To be fair, he fucking drugged him. I can see why. But he's more upset about what's happened with Jinx. And so we know later Silco does live through this, and Silco picks like the right words. I saved her life, and that's really what Silco cares about. So, but now, and one of my favorite parts of the lead up to episode 9 is we just don't see Jinx. She just disappears from the storyline, except for like a couple snippets. And so the whole time we're watching the rest of the series, in the back of our minds, it's just what is Jinx doing? We know this horrible procedure's been done to her. We know she's going fucking crazy, and then she's disappeared, and we just don't know what she's up to. So it adds like
Hmm.
a just a through line of tension throughout the entire thing. No matter what happens now, we're just thinking the back of our minds. Yeah, but where's Jinx and what is she doing?
Yeah, true.
And there's Heimerdinger.
Oh, yeah, completely out of his element, like
Mm-hmm.
for the opposite reason.
Right.
upstairs than Vi. I mean, oh,
It's like I want to help you, but I don't think I
yeah,
can.
yeah,
Which sort of like Heimerdinger, as far as we're aware, has just been at the academy. So this is like, from what we know, this is his first time getting like actual exposure to what it is like in the Undercity. At
yeah.
least,
Why do you think he actually goes to the Undercity though, instead of like, because he was basically fired from the board, but is he not still like a professor and also has a home and stuff and probably like all the money that he would have had in that position?
yeah. Well,
Like, is it like
I
I
think
don't know? Is the
Heimerdinger.
implication that he has nothing?
I interpret it like he's retired. Um, so he like I don't think they took his shit away. How I see it is sort of Heimerdinger has been removed from his obligations and so he has to figure out what he's going to do next. And Heimerdinger seems like he's like Heimerdinger's faults. His heart is always seems to be in the right place. He's trying to help. He's trying everyone to stay safe and all this different stuff. And so what I
Okay.
think has probably happened is this before or after he meets Echo? This is
Before.
before, right? So it seems my interpretation is Heimerdinger now is free of all of his obligations, and he has to figure out what he wants to do now. And shit sucks in the Undercity, and it's causing all these problems. And so and now he has the freedom that he can go down there, and so he says, "All right, I'll head down and see what I can do to help." And just shows up having vastly underestimated the situation
Mm,
in the Undercity,
gotcha.
and he's sort of wandering a lot, like not sure, like where do you even start to help?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
And this is why when Echo shows him, like here is a place to start. They sort of side together and they start working together.
Yeah.
And I
Mm.
think this scene in particular is pretty emblematic of it. Where do we start? Oh, let's do something nice for a kid. This is this is like the most basic, low level sort of helping it. She's done something nice. I'm going to cheer up a kid. Show some kindness. And immediately, what the fuck are you doing? You can't do this kind of thing. Right? There's this like the here's something very basic that'd be very easy to do in Piltover that I can do to add just a little bit of happiness and kindness into this world. And they show up and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" So he has literally no idea where to start. Also, I like the mural in the background here. These sort of these faces. I can't tell if they're screaming or
Oh, yeah.
laughing.
Interesting. Interesting.
Right, and it makes sense from that woman's perspective. Some like listen, in real life, if some guy showed up and offered your kid candy, like you, that dude, you'd assume pedophile, right? And like,
So yeah.
and we grew up in like our neighborhoods weren't bad. Zon is bad, so no wonder the mom doesn't want him or like hanging out with some stranger she doesn't know. That dude could be a serial. He could be a cannibal. We don't know what the fuck he is. Could be some fucking junkie. Like it's just safer. And if no one, it's a low trust society. No one trusts each other on any level. How is Heimerdinger supposed to do anything to help?
That's true.
And in some ways, like he was in the bad part, and now this is right. He was in like very green, very dark, and now he's out in the open. There's Piltover. It seems like he's given up and he's going back home. right? We're in that sort of transitionatory state. We're open. We see the skies. There's a lot of blue. I think it's not explicitly said, but I think Heimerdinger showed up and wanted to help, and realized there was nothing he could do, and this is him leaving to go back home.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this is why, like, his eyes are downcast because he's sort of failed this mission, and now what's he supposed to do? And then he sees this. Right, and now Heimerdinger's finding like, oh, this is something I know about. This is actually very interesting. There's some talent here. He's like, oh, it's even more talented than you thought it was, because I'm taking into account things you weren't. And then he sees that he's hurting. He's like, oh, can I help? Right? He still wants to help, and Echo is much more welcoming. And so this is what he wants to do, and now he's found a bit of an in.
Okay, yeah, so he confirms that he
Yeah.
is good to go. Part of
Right,
it.
his whole thing is I want to help and I can't find a way. And Echo's like, I feel you.
There's a way.
But you know what? I need some help right now. And I'm just like, oh, here we go. And then we cut to. And I think this scene is probably my favorite in terms of the framing of the shots. I think it does a very good job.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's literally right between her legs. It's very. And Dallas is just there, and you don't see it coming. He's just standing there, and he has no idea where to look. Right, and what's actually pretty ingenious about this shot is, despite the fact that she is physically lower than him at this point, they've positioned the camera in a way that points directly at her, so we're looking straight at her as opposed to down at her, right, or up at her. So like she has sort of a neutral position in the sort of conversation. And then we've also positioned it between her legs to add to that uncomfortability that Jace feels right before we turn to him. But it's also the scene is literally just her just chilling in the bath and then drinking. Like she's wasting the viewer's time. In addition to Jace's, which is sort of reinforces that like this is my time. I'm the one whose time is valuable here, and I will use it as I right. It's another sort of power play that she's using on both Jace and the viewer.
Yeah, and if the viewer is supposed to be uncomfortable about it too, it's working.
And this, you know what else? You know who this is? This is Andrew Tate in his debate with XQC. He has that, he's shirtless, that maid in the background's just massaging him. Like the entire thing. He's out here going to talk about how the Matrix is trying to Right, and notice, because we're in a sort of similar position of power at the moment, we are facing both Jace straight on and the mom straight on. And Jace refuses to look at her, and he's like looking around, not knowing what to do. And the mom's also not looking at him. But the big difference is he's doing it out of like this nervousness and he's being forced to do it. Whereas the mom is willfully blindfolding herself. And so even in this sort of exchange that seems equal, there's hints that the mom has a bit more power in it than she's letting on. Right, and then we have this shot, which is once again great because we have Jace here, who is standing above the mom. Right, we got a triangle here. But despite that, look at the mural on the back. Right, she's sitting here, but she has this entire army that's framed, all pointing at Jace.
That is clever. I did not notice. I never noticed that.
Right? And then, so even Jace,
and it looks like the rays of light from the top left are like coming down onto her.
That's true as well. But so first off, Jay, who is the counselor of the city, right? He's President Jace Tallis of Piltover or whatever. Right, he is the person who should be in the most position of power. He is the head of the city. This is his city. He is the one with the power. And so that's represented by him being above the mother. But despite him supposed to be in that position, we have this framing of the army, like pointing forcibly at him. Right, saying that even though he's supposed to be the position of power, things are not as they seem. Right, and now Jace, she's like, I'm blind. She's relating her blindness to like a specific tactic used by like this great general. Right, and this is going to be the theme of the topic is going to be blindness. Right, and then Jace still can't look at her. So it's like he's in some ways blind as well, but hers is deliberate and his is not. Sort of reinforcing that, well, even though we're seeing equal, and we're seeing Jace in sort of this position of power, this is not actually what's happening. And we're going to see that shift more clearly as the scene progresses.
My goodness.
Trace. But yeah, and he's sort of having this very serious, or attempting to have this somewhat serious conversation with her, whereas the mother is sort of having this conversation that really isn't about what Jace wants to talk about, though she'll bring it back. And it has sort of an unserious nature to it a little bit, which is sort of like this slight disrespect towards Jace. Like you may be the you may be the person who's supposed to have all the power in the situation, but you don't, and I don't have to take this as seriously. And then you can sort of, on top of that, as a bit of a stretch, squeeze, you won't break anything, right? That's sort of that's one, she's being a little rude to him, but also this is sort of reinforcing, like, you're not going to break me here. I'm strong as fuck, boy. Have you seen these muscles? I am the powerful one here.
Yeah. In case.
Right? And Jace gets angry at this. And so he's like, if I got other matters, I don't have to sit here and take this. Go fuck yourself. And he tries to leave. Right? This is him attempting to exert some of his power over her. And so she now has to, if she wants Jace to stay, he would want her to sort of check herself a little bit. And so is the mom going to do that? No, she's just going to insult him.
Yeah.
They're like, look, you're in a danger. You're like, I'm busy. I don't need to be here. And her response is, yes, you do. you're fucking up this whole situation, and you need my help. Right? She doesn't ask him to stay. She tells him that he has to stay, and he does stay. And so he's going to attempt to grab that power back with this speech here. Right? He's going to start debating with her. Right? And I misjudged the speeches a little bit later, but he's going to start debating her, and we now have this transition between shots, him straight at her, and once again we have everything's relating to blindness. Her whole thing is consistent with within its central theme. The council's the mind hiding behind the body. The council's impotent. There's no problem with Piltover. It's you specifically. And notice Mal's mom's position never changes. She's there relaxing the entire time. Whereas Jace is pulling the virgin chat. The virgin chat, he's slouched over. His shoulders are like a little down. And he's like looking down. He's unconfident a little bit in his position. And so to regain that confidence and power, he's going to do this speech. Right? And now that he has the speech, like 3%, we're no strangers to failure, but we get it right when we keep trying, yada yada. And he has the speech. And once again, we have the zoom out shot where Jace is looking down at the mom. Right? It's his big speech. He's justifying. He's like, this is what Piltover is. This is how we do things here. And he's exuding a bit of dominance over the mom in this part of the conversation. But notice once again, the framing, we have all of the armies pointed at him, because despite it, this is not everything is as it seems. And now it seems like he's having this dominant moment where he's telling the mom how it is. That is not how it is. She's relaxed here, doing her thing with her naked boy toy over here, completely unfazed, because she knows she's the one in the position of power. Right? And once again, he tries to leave, and so Miles' mom's over here's got to pull on the put up. That's this. Right, which is this. She just gets up, right, and forces. Not only does she effectively command Jace to wait, she then raises herself up. Right, Jace now is completely flummoxed. She has regained control of the entire conversation entirely. We now have her approaching. Like, oh, you're approaching me. How else could I get close enough to beat the shit out of you? Right, she's approaching him, and now we're seeing it from lower end. Right, if we go back, partially it's because they don't want to show the boobs, but once again, like with Mel earlier, we're only looking at her waist. We are looking at her from a lower position as she's raising herself up, right? Right, and what's going to happen? She's going to raise up, and now who's the taller one? It's the mom. She's the one in the position. She's confident. She's standing there naked. She doesn't give a shit. And Chase is over here fucking sweating up, trying not to look in the wrong direction. He's completely lost control of this conversation. And she's just in her elements. Right? And she's looking at him, and he's sort of not quite looking at her. Right? And this whole conversation has been about General Parlek being blind, seeing the truth. Right? And her claim that he's acting blindly like the council is. And so what's the fate of General Parlek? what's this fate of this person she keeps talking about and relating to Jace? He's fucking dead. And Jace has that, I don't know if you caught it with the eye, he's like looking off a little bit defiantly, and then it's slaughtered with your eyes closed, and he has like the for a second. And then, as well, Jace's ear is here, her mouth is here, she's in the higher position, reinforcing that control she has over the conversation. And it's her eyes we don't see, and it's his eyes we do. We're the ones blind to her sorts of, her vision, but we're not blind to Jace. Everything just exudes, she's the one in control here. And then the scene ends. And we got a bead of sweat coming down as well. So I really love how they framed all of those scenes. Because even when he has these big moments where he's supposed to be in a position of power, and it looks like traditionally the framing would indicate that, they have all these sorts of behinds, the sort of the way the shot is done, sort of demonstrates it's not quite the case. She's in control of the conversation the entire time and gets the exact result she wants. And they've done that purely through framing. And so I really love that scene for that reason.
Yeah.
And you know what else, Andrew?
So,
Or actually, do you want to say anything about that scene before we move on?
I was just gonna say that, like, you're saying about how it's like traditional framing versus not, like.
Well, traditional might not be the
usually-
right word, but like the
Well,
front-facing framing, like he's taller in the scene than her, but there's all this stuff in the background.
Yeah, exactly. There's like details that still make it like intuitive subconsciously, visually. Like you like it's not like it like. Oh, I thought like it felt like Jace was kind of running the show here. No, like it still very much feels like she's the one calling the shots.
Right. And you know what else, Andrew? We only have half left.
Hey, yeah, look at that. We did make progress.
How much time you got left?
I'm generally okay. Like I think wrapping up at 10:30 for myself would probably be what I'd want to cut it off at.
Okay, it's 1 here. So.
Oh, sorry. In like 30, 40 minutes.
All right, cool. In that case, let's do. We'll maybe do Victor. We'll see. And Chase is just out of it now. He's like there. He's angry. He doesn't know what to do. He's rattled him. Boys are rattled.
Needs to be sharp now, though.
He's fidgeting. And did you see what he's fidgeting with?
That's the wing of one of the fireflies.
One of the fireflies that blew up the bridge and killed all the enforcers.
Yeah.
Right? So this is very clearly, I don't want to end up like General Parlek, exploded by this fucking crazy blue-haired lunatic.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, and she's like, wait a second.
Wait a second. Something's going on here. Right? And now he's like, we need to act now. Someone else.
She was doing.
Yeah. So, I don't think there's a whole
Good
lot.
politicking by.
Right? She's there, and she's given, like, the ideological speech. Which might not be the best for the council, but it's not. There isn't a lot of subtlety in what Caitlyn's saying, which makes sense for her character. She's a very straight shooter, straightforward, and very, very idealistic and fairly naive. And so
Yeah, but in what? in, I don't know. It wasn't at all what Vi was doing. Vi was either trying to thwart Caitlyn and get her distracted and out of her way, or trying to deal with Jinx and maybe like the firelights. That's like the one thing that like maybe that counts as that, but otherwise it was like no, like we got a job to do down here.
I mean, yeah, I'm like I can see it from
Strategizing
Caitlyn.
here.
I don't think Caitlyn's like Caitlin's perspective. She couldn't get around the Undercity by herself. She doesn't know the shiver ravaged people, right? All the sites of the Undercity are stuff she got to see because Vi was there guiding her. So I think this is sort of just how she remembers it, and obviously she's going to remember it more favorably to Vi than may have actually happened, because Vi's her girlfriend.
What nonsense? Well, Marcus.
Yeah.
Not much of a nation, is it?
I mean, I would imagine as much as Piltover. Like
Is
Piltover is
Piltover a
one
nation?
city.
Like, is it a city state? Is it a city state or
Yeah,
is
it's a
it
city state.
subordinate to it? Okay. Okay, yeah, and I guess he did significantly ramp up the like that was his whole thing was like expanding the economy using the trade gates or whatever to
Yeah,
send his shimmer and stuff out to different places.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
right. It's a Piltover like in the story. Like okay, because I mean I don't know how much we want to do outside of it's like there's legal lore in general, and if it's not right, it's a major trade, a city state that's powerful because it has massive trade abilities and massive technological developments. And then Zon's just like the slums of it. But it, and the geography is still actually a bit unclear to me with exactly how it works. But it seems like they have their own entirely separate economy that runs and their own trade partners, right? Because they're smuggling shit onto the hex gates and whatnot. So it doesn't seem absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is probably why you need a bit of politicking as opposed to just telling the truth in this situation. Right? He's like, so who built this entirely the thing that just killed all those people? Oh, this person. Oh, and this person who just killed everyone indiscriminately. They have the hex tech thing that can turn the hex tech that can be used as a massive powerful weapon. Yes. Okay, guess we gotta go in then. Right?
Thanks
Like,
for the info.
mm-hmm. Right? Like the whole thing was whether or not she could reverse engineer hex tech technology. And then, specifically, those butterflies are reversed engineered Piltover technology.
Yeah.
And then these were super effective. And even Victor says that it's possible. And so, what the heck? If she's willing to just if she can take like a children's toy from Piltover and turn that into one of the most destructive fucking weapons that Piltover has seen since like the Mage War or whatever, what the hell is she going to do if she has the Hex Gem? And already, like if they had said that prior to Mel's mom talking to Jace, that might not have happened, right? This is why Caitlyn's going to be a little confused as to why Jace is acting this way. But now, the mom's got him rattled. And so he's now worried. He's already a little scared now, and now he's gotten even worse news that this crazy lady, who's very good at reverse engineering tech and turning them into horribly deadly weapons, now has the most dangerous tech available from Piltover. And so he has this reaction.
Vi is pushing.
Well, yeah, because Vi hates Silco, and she wants to hit Silco.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting in the show about like the necessity. I put it, goodness, like the balance of the decision of war versus diplomacy, of like when is it actually, is it actually morally better to go to war in this case?
Yeah, I don't think, because Vi is typically not someone who thinks through her decisions a whole lot. I think this is a bit of an example of it, because she's like, we need to fight, because she wants to fight Silco.
Yeah.
Obviously, not realizing that the person they're going to go after the hardest is fucking Jinx.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it just doesn't occur to her. Right, literally, he's ready to let Silco go at the end. He just wants Jinx gone.
Oh, yeah, true. That's a good point. Even like the guy who she specifically is urging to war.
Right? Yeah, she's like, Silco bad. I want hit Silco. You hit Silco too. We hit Silco. Hurt more.
Yeah. It's really Jinx that's the real problem.
Yeah, like Silco can't figure out how to use the tech stuff. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, but I do really like Face's arc in this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
How he, like, he begins, he's got his ambition for his tech and stuff, leadership over the city, and then now it's like, okay, well, war. But then the decision he has to make in 9. I really like that conversation at the end he has with Silco.
Yeah. And the other thing I like is even though Jace is the head, he gets shot down by Mel specifically, and everyone goes along with it. Because despite the fact that he's the poster boy child, Mel is still the one who sort of controls the strings. Which I thought was
what she put in there.
I mean, I think she just did some political calculations.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Jace is already like the poster boy for like the public, so putting him at the head of the council sort of meshes those two views. She's also like involved with Jace now intimately, so any power he accrues is also tangentially her power as well. And then also, there's something to be said about the sort of behind the scenes power. Like the Soviet Union's a good example of this. Trotsky is the big face. He's the public persona. He's the one who seemingly has all the power. He's actually the one chosen by Lenin as his successor. But who's the one who wins? They're the quiet guy who controls all the paperwork in the background, a Joseph Stalin.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, so the position may actually be a bit more, might be a bit better for her for various reasons. even then, it's all about Silco. She's just mad at Silco. She's big mad, Molden, and not really thinking about the implications of what would happen. I think right. I think her thought process is Silco is like brainwashing her. So if I get rid of Silco, I get Powder back, and that's like as far through as she thought this through.
She still doesn't realize that Powder actually is Jinx, right? Like that she does want that life now or whatever. It's not brainwashing really anymore.
Well, Powder isn't actually Jinx yet. They're like the Powder Jinx mesh.
Okay,
She's
you
in the
know what I mean.
transitionatory state. That's why it ends in episode 9, because that's when she becomes Jinx.
You know what, Max?
Yes?
Why don't you
Why don't you go fuck yourself? But yeah, and you know, from Vi's perspective, like they've shown up, they've told them what's going on, and the council's response is essentially, okay, we will continue to do nothing. Please leave. Like, you know, I get why she's a little mad. Goddamn bureaucracy, got him again. Okay. All right. What time is it?
find yourself a nice man and have a great life?
Yeah, obviously she's upset. She like this whole giant expedition thing that she now again had to abandon her sister, and her sister's almost died. But this whole big thing that she had to do this like sacrifice for, and they lost the hex tech, so they could get to this council meeting for them to do fuck all.
Yeah.
It's like you came here with this giant fucking speech about how we need to work together. We need to work together. We need to find a way forward. We need to right the wrongs. And I showed up, and you all told me to fuck off. Fucking off. Fuck on off back to Azkaban. We have Victor. Do we have time for Victor's running scene?
I think so.
All right. So Victor or Dr. Oopsenheimer.
Oopsenheimer. Indeed.
Dr. Oppenheimer, I regret to inform you that your invention, Megalodon Jap Melter 4000, has been used in an unexpected way.
It's more like we regret to inform you that your invention works exactly as expected. Yeah, this is great. I like it's been discussed before the boat thing.
Yeah.
He tries to chase after his little toy boat earlier, and now he can actually walk and now he can run, and he's running alongside the boats, and he's running faster than the boats
For the first time in his life. And what
Yeah,
do you do once you get a little bit of a good thing, Andrew? What do you do once you get just a taste of a good thing?
But you're satisfied with it, and you appreciate your accomplishments.
No, you need more, Andrew. More.
No.
Like the fucking like the Dr. Seuss. More. So he gets more of the drug.
So is this now at the point where he's infused like a good chunk of it into himself, or only a little bit?
I think We'll probably have to rewatch it, but
Because
I think
does he have like fully mechanical legs now,
he has, um,
or whatever the word would be?
but like his leg is not like a normal leg anymore, and
Okay.
I think he's actually out of Shimmer, but we'll have to see. Right, and they've been building up this entire thing with her over the course of the last few episodes. Victor, are you leaving now, Victor? Oh, another late night. Oh, okay. Right, and now we see Victor's like there's this great this great moment for him, and he immediately goes back to the drug, and we're like, oh, that doesn't seem like good drug use. That seems a bit like a problem. And then she's shown up for no reason, which sort of leaves the audience like, why is she here? Like they're showing her to us. That means there's a reason, but I don't know the reason, which makes me think it's not going to be good.
Yeah. Well,
Right? And there's his leg.
I mean, the way it's set up, it's like, yeah, something bad's gonna happen, but it's like, wait, what could possibly happen?
Right.
How is this?
And
Why is this gonna be bad? What's gonna happen?
right, and this is the scene I was thinking about. He's out of Shimmer. Right? He's trying to inject himself with more, and he doesn't have any more.
And it needs fuel or something.
Right, and this is what's going to sort of precipitate what's going to happen, and why this experiment isn't going to work. Because he's out of Shimmer, but he wants the abilities so badly that he's going to risk it without the Shimmer, which is not a good plan. As Singe said, it's how you change the nature. It's a vital component. It's the only thing that will work. And so he's going to try it without it.
Son, is he lifting up the metallic stuff onto himself? I thought it was part of him.
Sorry, what
Not
thing are you looking
sure.
at?
Like he's got like a harness thing. I don't really get what, like, it looks like it's
Oh,
like on his over his shoulder.
I think he's wearing like a he's wearing like a harness that I think is from when he had like the bad leg.
Oh, okay.
Right, because his body's like fucked up, and so he
Right.
needs like the extra support.
Gotcha.
And so maybe that's the plan. Like he goes through another round, and now he doesn't need the harness. He's lost the cane. Next is the harness, and eventually he'll be fine. Right, and now like Victor, I've been working on this for a year. She's going to show up when we figure that. Like, oh no, these three things. There's Victor, there's this fucking hex orb thing, and there's her, and it's all coming together, and we don't know what's going to happen when they come together. And the longer it takes for that scene to happen, the more suspense gets built up.
Well, you know, Victor's love interest, she's only got a few more weeks till retirement.
And Victor is now facing this dilemma of, because now we know that the procedure is not going to repeat like the last time because he's out of Shimmer. So what's going to happen? That he can probably go through the procedure. What's probably happening is this is an elephant situation. He wants to be fixed, or he wants his body to work like everyone else's so badly, even though the hypothesis isn't very good, he's going to overlook it because he wants that outcome, and it's sort of clouding his judgment. Right, and this is part of why I think it's like the design. It has like these spinal cord pieces on it, and so that's why, and like these melbits. So that's kind of why I think this is like a medical device.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, like I don't know though. The thing is, he knows this thing is gonna eat. It's not like this thing can kill plants and stuff.
Well, I agree.
I don't think he would do it without the shimmer, unless he thinks that he maybe does have enough little bit of shimmer in there.
Here's the thing. We all look at scams and think, wow, that scam was retarded. And then you look at who the people who get scammed are, and it's always the people who are in the most desperate situation. Because when you're desperate, you're willing to overlook a ton of stuff. that you wouldn't if you were in a right state of mind.
Hmm.
Right? Like Victor is dying. He's dying soon. And he's found a way that not only can save his life, the one way that can save his life, but will also give him the abilities that his peers have had that he's been denied for his entire life. And now there's like one hiccup in it, and you're like all your finances has collapsed. You're willing to just throw everything into fucking Crypto Zoo or some dodgy fucking shitcoin because what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right? Even if Victor has sort of has this moment of lucidity, like he would have to go to Zon, get more shimmer, and then smuggle it back after the fucking bridge has been blown up. Like I'm not even sure it would be possible to do it at this point. I imagine if security was tight before, it's way tighter now. If they're even allowing people to go in and out. So I mean, I think it's a bad plan, but he's desperate enough that he's willing to sort of overlook how bad of a plan it is and just pray that it works.
He's got all the runes and stuff in him.
And here's the meeting.
No. Oh my goodness.
And so that's turns out doesn't go very well. But it seems to have worked. His hand now is a little fixed.
His hand. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Or like, did his other leg get infused now?
No. His working leg is still normal. I think so. I see his foot there. So it seems like he just got a fixed hand.
So is that his right hand there that's got the stuff on it? I can't quite tell.
Yeah, his right hand is like purple now. His left hand is normal.
Dang.
Which was the hand he was touching the hex orb with, I think. Yeah.
Yes,
right
that makes sense.
And so
it just dissolves.
Yeah.
And do you think it used her and not just like him? Like it didn't just like kill him, eat him, or whatever? Because like maybe like, and I'm not saying we need to know this because this is like sort of like soft magic of like there's like a fear, an aspect of we don't understand it to it, but I think it was like it understood him as like you're the caster, you've got the runes on you, like if you don't give me something, then yeah, you're gonna die, but I'm gonna try to eat whatever I can find to give this thing to you or whatever. I'm just curious what
I'm not
the supernatural
I'm not sure.
element of the world.
I'm not sure what has happened. I think like we can interpret that that probably she is a sort of essentially functioned as some sort of sacrifice. Right? Like the procedure works, though albeit not as effectively. Actually, hold on. We could also interpret it as that Victor's hypothesis is somewhat correct, in that because he's already undergone some of the change, he's more immune. And then she, having had no shimmer, is completely unimmune. and so it just destroys her, but manages to change him a little bit. That's one possible interpretation. Two, she like it somehow got rid of her, like ate her and used that to fix his arm. I think that's possibility two. We just don't know enough about the tech and the magic to really understand exactly what happened here. But the result is sort of well, we do know the result. The result is this person who Victor cared about is now dead, and he's gotten this hand, and so he's now sort of, at least from his perspective, he's gotten better, but at the expense of other people whom he cares about, which is going to precipitate Dr. Upsenheimer's dislike for the tech he's made. Right, and he's having this sort of emotional breakdown, and it's just there, and it has changed.
Yep.
Something about it saying. If I were to guess, it's a combination of probably the hex tech, the magic, but also the inclusion of blood, because blood magic's like a thing in this universe, though it's not touched on in the show.
Organic, some sort of organic material, because it got the plant the first time.
Yeah, it heals the plant and then it kills it. Yeah. So maybe this is a reversal. It kills the plant and then it kills the girl and heals Victor.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
As long as there's an equivalence, it's a little bit like alchemy. Like, I don't know much about Full Metal Alchemist, but it makes me think of that a little bit.
Yeah, one of the greatest story writing rules of all time, I think. But right, and now Victor turns and he sees this fucking monstrosity. Right, this thing that was just that before was tech. This is we don't know what this is, but this is not hex tech. It's some sort of monstrous thing. Oh, and then we're on Jace. And I assume you wanna head out soon, so we'll just finish talking about this. Does it have? Yeah, the other big Victor scene is sort of related to it a little bit, where he tries to destroy it or whatever. But we'll talk about that when we get to that scene. But yeah, there's just been this sort of change now that's occurred, and there's Victor had to stand there, and there was nothing he could do, and so now he has to deal with the guilt of, through my actions, someone I've killed has died. And despite trying to make this sort of tech to fix the world, it's now this fucking evil, demonic, fucking die of some sorts, with all these weird glowing holes in it. I have no idea what this is. And
one of them Dungeons and Dragons dice.
Yeah, so it's just everything. Like, he had this big high where he was on everything he ever wanted was in his reach, and then he just yanked straight down to hell. Did not pass go, did not collect $200, just in hell now. And so now he's got to figure out what he's going to do next. And I mean, it's set up, but we never get a resolution by the end of the series, so we'll have to find out season 2. We will see. But as for the rest of the episode, including the big fight scene and snakes, and there's actually like 2 scenes left. 3 scenes. We will finish that next time, and maybe even start the new episode. We'll have to see. But that's probably it for us for today. It was fun. Andrew, did you have fun? Did you enjoy the episode? So where'd you rank it?
Think about the other episodes and where this fits. One, like, I don't know, I'm not No, I'm not sure exactly why, but like for some reason the stuff with like Mel's mom, it as interesting as it is, it doesn't like if I had to rank it with other stuff, I'd say other stuff is generally more interesting than that. This stuff with Victor I find really interesting. I really like pretty much everything that goes on with Victor's story. Probably like my favorite side plot of Arcane. I hope there's more of him, that he survives the ordeal towards the end.
Well, Victor's got plot armor. He can't die.
Is he though?
Yes, he's a character in League of Legends. He's a champion.
Yeah, but they might still kill him. Like, he might just be dead. They don't have to go. Like they're not following the lore 1-to-1.
I mean, listen. When I see them kill a champion from League of Legends, I'll start considering it as a serious possibility. I have yet to see them do that. So
Fair enough.
we'll have to see. Like Sin should have probably died after that big explosion, but he was fine. So I'm just saying.
True. Well, he did get all fricked after it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
He did get a little singed, you might say. Andrew,
Very
before we go,
yeah, let's do it.
I got a YouTube channel linked as always in the description below, talking about game development and all sorts of interesting things. You got Air Obscure on Steam. You got a novella for sale on Amazon.
Yeah.
Trying to think.
I always forget about that until you mention it on our streams.
Well, that's what I'm here for. Speaking of, next month, actually, I think this week my editor is supposed to come back with the thing for my novella.
Oh snap!
I'll have to let me double check. Yeah, September 30th is when I get my novella back. Due in the next 5 days or more. We'll see.
Very exciting.
We will see. And then so what that means, because our next episode is going to be on October 1st for me, because our times are different. So that means I should have an update on the novella next stream, and I'll let you know.
Awesome.
And then I won't have an update on the card game until next month. So I will let you know the card game. If everything goes right, we'll release the first 2 decks in time for Christmas. And I don't know when. And I'll give you an update next week on the short story. In the meantime, on the novella. In the meantime, if you want to read one of my short stories, they are available online at my website, maxgeng.com, and as well as everything else I produce. So feel free to stop on by, take a look, and that includes links to all of my social media stuff. Is there anything else you wanted to mention before we go?
I think I've covered everything on my end.
All right. In that case, I've been Max. This has been Andrew, and we've been doing Arcane, Episode 8, Part 3. Until next time,